Some artifacts should not exist. Some walls were built long before the first known civilization, and some symbols are carved into stone, in a language no one has ever seen. They're not in textbooks. They have no answers. They are the missing pieces of a forgotten history, one that could overturn everything we thought we knew. In this video, we unlock the door to archaeology's most unsolved enigmas, where the past whispers truths the present can't yet comprehend. Somewhere beneath the cold, restless waters of the Baltic Sea lies a city no map can agree on. A city of towering spires, radiant gold, and unspeakable pride, swallowed whole by the sea in a single moment of divine judgment. Veneta, whispered in sailors' tales, feared in local folklore, and often called the Atlantis of the North, a place so rich and powerful that it was said to rival Constantinople, until it vanished. No smoke, no war, just silence, and then waves. For over 1,000 years, its story has drifted across Europe, changing shape, changing shores, but never fading. Historians chase it, fishermen swear they've seen it, and the sea, as always, keeps its secrets. But the real mystery, Veneta's location, changes with every telling, as if the city itself is alive, moving with the tides, hiding from the eyes of time. According to legend, Veneta was once a thriving and radiant center along the shores of the Baltic Sea, a crossroads of commerce, art, and knowledge. The city's towering spires touched the sky, reflecting sunlight off the sea, while its bustling streets welcomed traders from across Europe and Asia. Some stories even claim that the people of Veneta possessed knowledge far beyond their time, creating a society that was nearly ideal in its advancement. But this very prosperity led to its downfall. Living in opulence, the citizens grew arrogant, morally corrupt, and lost their sense of humility and reverence for nature or the divine. They mocked warnings, turned their backs on faith and justice, and then, as a cruel punishment, the sea rose with fury, swallowing Veneta without a trace, leaving behind only faint whispers among the waves of a city that was once too magnificent to survive. What makes Veneta stand out among all the legends of sunken cities is not merely its wealth or tragic demise, but the mystery of its ever-shifting location. Unlike Atlantis, which, though debated, is still associated with a specific part of the ocean, Veneta seems to evade all fixed coordinates. Over the centuries, its name has drifted across European maps like a phantom. Some legends place it near the island of Usedom, where unexplained underwater structures have been found. Others claim it lies off the coast of the Polish town of Kołobrzeg. Still, some ancient sources point to the Oder River Delta, a boundary between salt water and marshes that may once have supported an ancient settlement. The fact that Veneta never stays in one place has made it a living legend, a city whose very uncertainty is what allows it to endure so vividly in human imagination. For centuries, scholars have tried to pinpoint the true location of Veneta, but each era has produced a different theory. A 16th century chronicle claimed that Veneta lay off the coast of the town of Wolgast, while a 17th century map shifted it farther north among sandbanks and shallow waters that easily change with the ocean currents. By the 19th century, with advances in geology, researchers began to suggest that tectonic shifts or rising sea levels might have completely erased medieval coastal settlements. From this, the idea emerged that Veneta was not a single city, but rather a fusion of several real towns lost to the sea, eventually woven into a unified legend through oral tradition. This fluid geography is not just a historical curiosity, it's central to why the legend has endured. By refusing to be anchored to one spot, Veneta becomes a canvas for local identity and storytelling. In every coastal village along the southern Baltic, you might hear a variation of the tale: a fisherman who saw golden rooftops beneath the waves on a full moon, or a church bell tolling deep below the water. Each version insists Veneta was just off their shore, just a few miles beyond where the waves break, and thus every place becomes the possible site of its grandeur and its downfall. In this way, Veneta mirrors the psychology of lost civilizations. We need these places to be just out of reach, not fully myth, not fully real, to sustain the mystery and wonder they inspire. The shifting location reflects our own uncertainty about the past and our desire to find meaning in ruins both literal and metaphorical. It also complicates the work of archaeologists. While underwater ruins and ancient artifacts have been discovered in places like Usedom and the Pomeranian Bay, none have definitively proven the existence of a grand drowned city. Is this absence evidence of a myth, or is it a clue that we haven't looked in the right place or the right time? Some geologists believe that the legend of Veneta may have originated from real natural disasters. During the medieval warm period, massive storms, tsunamis, or coastal erosion could have completely wiped out many seaside settlements, especially in the low-lying regions around the Baltic Sea. It's entirely possible that Veneta was the remnant of one of these cities. A place that truly existed was erased by nature and gradually transformed into legend. If that's the case, then which forgotten medieval town became the backbone of the tale we now call the Atlantis of the North? The legend also persisted because of its moral weight. Like Atlantis, Veneta's destruction wasn't random. It was judgment for greed, pride, and excess. In this sense, it serves as a cautionary tale passed down for generations. But unlike the Greek clarity of Atlantis, Veneta's shifting nature makes the warning even more poignant. No one knows where it was, so everyone fears it could be anywhere or everywhere. Did Veneta truly exist? Or is it merely a reflection of humanity's fears and longing for a lost world? Could there still be ruins lying untouched beneath the Baltic Sea? Or are we simply retelling a story woven over centuries, a cautionary tale about pride and the cost of forgetting our origins? What do you think? Share your thoughts or theories in the comments. Is Veneta buried history or a beautiful legend born from collective memory? Veneta has also lived on in German and Baltic literature, folklore, and music. The 19th century in particular saw a wave of artistic fascination with the tale. Poets wrote of its golden domes shining through the water. Composers created operas echoing the lost bells of its churches, and painters imagined moonlit coastlines where the ghostly ruins shimmered just below the surface. To this day, Veneta festivals are held in seaside towns like Zinovitz, where plays are performed recounting the city's rise and fall. 9. A city that moves with the tide. Modern technology, including sonar mapping and underwater LiDAR, has scanned parts of the Baltic seabed, revealing curious stone alignments and buried anomalies. Yet none can be definitively linked to Veneta. That ambiguity is perhaps its greatest strength. It draws historians, conspiracy theorists, and dreamers alike, all chasing the shadow of a city that may never have been or may simply be waiting to be found. In the end, Veneta is less a place than a reflection of human ambition, imagination, and the haunting sense that we have forgotten more than we remember. Whether it lies beneath the sea, buried in sediment, or only in the collective memory of a region shaped by storms and silence, Veneta remains one of the world's most compelling lost cities, a shimmering mirage on ancient maps, a whisper in fishermen's tales, a myth that moves with the tides, and perhaps somewhere off the cold northern coast, a bell still rings beneath the waves. A glorious city that once blazed in the heart of the desert, then vanished without a trace, as if it had never existed. Amid the endless dead sands of the Rub al-Khali, one of the harshest regions on Earth, there once stood a legendary city whispered about for thousands of years across the Arab world, Ubar. No one knows what it was built, from how long it lasted, or why it fell. All that's known is that it was once a thriving hub of trade called Iram, the city of pillars, and then one day it was swallowed by the earth itself, disappearing in a strange and sudden collapse, as if cursed. No ruins, no witnesses, only legends and satellite images that now reveal chilling clues beneath the sands. Could this be the Atlantis of the desert? A warning from a vanished world, erased in the blink of an eye. In the Quran, Ubar is given a majestic name, Iram, the city of pillars. Iram that al-Imad once praised as one of the most prosperous centers in the Arabian desert. According to the scripture, the people of Iram lived in extreme luxury, but they grew arrogant, immoral, and disconnected from righteousness. Their pride came at a terrible cost. The divine response was a devastating cold wind that blew for many days, erasing the city entirely. No survivors, no trace. For centuries, this story was considered mere religious legend. Few believed that Ubar ever truly existed. But when modern satellite images and archaeological findings began to reveal suspicious remnants beneath the sands of the Rub al-Khali desert, scholars were forced to confront a stunning possibility. Could this city, once punished by the heavens, have actually been real? And could it have vanished in a way more brutal than any myth ever imagined? Thousands of years ago, Ubar held a central position in one of the most valuable trade networks of the ancient world, the frankincense route. This precious resin frankincense was not only used in religious rituals, but also regarded as a symbol of wealth and power. It was so valuable that it was often referred to as white gold in ancient times. The only known source came from the boswellia tree, which grew exclusively in a few arid regions of the Arabian Peninsula. Ubar, situated at the crossroads of caravan routes from Yemen to Oman, became a critical transit hub, a place where camel caravans stopped to resupply with water, trade goods, and relay messages. These caravans braved the harsh desert, carrying frankincense, myrrh, gemstones, and precious metals to empires such as Rome, ancient Egypt, and Persia. Tales of a city hidden deep within a sea of sand, so wealthy it defied imagination, began to spread, turning Ubar into both a commercial epicenter and a living legend in the desert. Among all the legends of vanished cities across the world, the name Ubar stands out not for its luxury or mythical technology, but for the eerie and absolute way it disappeared. There were no signs of war, no charred ruins, no records of natural disasters or invasions. All that remained was a chilling tale, an entire city swallowed by the earth in a single night, as if the gods themselves had erased it from history. Today, modern geologists and archaeologists have proposed a shocking yet scientifically sound theory. Ubar may have collapsed into a massive geological sinkhole. This phenomenon is common in regions where porous limestone lies beneath the surface, easily eroded by groundwater. Ancient accounts describe Ubar as being built around a large water well, a vital oasis where caravans stopped to rest and resupply, meaning this area was likely subjected to heavy groundwater extraction over centuries. Over time, the underlying rock weakened from erosion and pressure until one day it could no longer bear the weight above. The entire city center collapsed, pulling down homes, towers, temples, and even its people, into the earth, leaving no trace but a flat, silent layer of sand, as if nothing had ever stood there. Astonishingly, in the early 1990s, NASA satellite imagery revealed ancient trade routes buried beneath the desert, converging at a point near Shisr, Oman. When archaeologists excavated the site, they discovered circular fortress walls, collapsed structures, and an unusually deep well matching perfectly with the legendary descriptions. There were no signs of fire, war, or cataclysm, only the quiet collapse of the earth itself, a hidden danger lurking beneath the silent desert. And so Ubar, once a symbol of prosperity, became a city buried alive, forgotten beneath an ocean of sand, sending a chill through the modern world as its ghost finally came to light. After more than a millennium of being forgotten in historical records, Ubar suddenly returned to the world's attention in the early 1990s, not due to a chance excavation, but thanks to NASA's satellite imaging technology. An international team of archaeologists led by Nicholas Clapp, a documentary filmmaker with a passion for archaeology, used infrared satellite images to trace ancient trade routes buried deep beneath the desert sands. In those images, faint lines like ghostly wagon tracks appeared leading to a junction of several ancient paths in the region of Shisr, Oman. This land had long been considered sacred by local Bedouins, but no one expected that beneath it lay the ruins of an ancient city. When excavation began, the team uncovered collapsed watchtowers, thick fortress walls, ancient artifacts, and most remarkably, an unusually deep well at the center. While it cannot be definitively confirmed that this is the legendary Ubar, the combination of evidence from defensive architecture and its strategic location along the trade network to signs of subsidence matches the ancient accounts with eerie precision. Modern technology not only allowed humanity to retrace the steps of a lost civilization, but also proved that beneath seemingly silent landscapes there may lie entire chapters of history still waiting to be revealed. The story of Ubar is more than an archaeological mystery. It is a cautionary tale about the fragility of civilization. A city can be rich, powerful, and revered, but if it is built on unstable ground, and if it places too much faith in its own invincibility, its downfall can arrive swiftly and without warning. Was Ubar real, or was it just a symbol? Perhaps it doesn't matter. What does matter is that it has lived on in the imagination of humankind as a desert-bound Atlantis, and a haunting reminder that beneath the sands, secrets still lie waiting to be uncovered. What do you think really happened to Ubar? Did this city truly collapse into the earth, as the legend says? Or are the stories about Ubar simply exaggerations, born from ancient imagination? How many more secrets might still be buried beneath deserts humanity has yet to fully explore? Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe Ubar once existed, or was it just a historical mirage that never truly was? Deep in Colombia's untamed jungle, beyond the reach of any road or modern map, lies a ghost of a civilization, carved into the mountains, swallowed by the forest, and forgotten for centuries. They call it Ciudad Perdida, the lost city, but that name only scratches the surface of its mystery. Built over 200 years ago, long before the rise of Machu Picchu, it wasn't just a city, it was a kingdom in the clouds, a hidden sanctuary of stone and spirit alive with sacred rituals and secrets whispered to the trees. Who were the people who built this place, high above the rivers and beneath the mists? Why did they vanish without a trace, leaving behind only moss-covered terraces, silent staircases, and a haunting absence that no scholar has ever been able to explain? Ciudad Perdida is not merely a ruin. It is a question etched into the earth, one that refuses to be answered. To reach Ciudad Perdida, There are no paved roads or modern vehicles that can take you there. The journey to this lost city is a true test of physical endurance and mental resolve, lasting several days through the primeval rainforest of the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta. One must trek through dense jungle, cross fast-flowing rivers, wade through mud, and climb thousands of ancient stone steps slick with moss. High humidity, insects, treacherous terrain, and unpredictable weather make every step a challenge. But it is precisely this struggle that gives Ciudad Perdida its sacred and mysterious aura. When at last you emerge through the thick mist and lush canopy, a breathtaking scene unfolds: tiered stone terraces cascading along the mountainside, strange circular plazas, and stairways that seem to lead into a forgotten world. The silence is so profound, you can hear the wind rustling through the leaves and your own heartbeat. This is not merely an archaeological site, it is a place of pilgrimage where every stone carries the spirit of a vanished civilization. Ciudad Perdida was not a city built by chance, but the result of an astonishing level of organization and engineering from the Tairona civilization. The Tairona people, master architects, craftsmen, and spiritual practitioners, planned the city with remarkable precision, in perfect harmony with the rugged mountainous jungle terrain. They skillfully carved stone terraces along the hillsides to serve as foundations for dwellings, created dozens of ceremonial circular plazas, and engineered underground water channels to bring fresh spring water to every residential area. The entire city seems to intertwine with nature rather than resist it. Its architecture reflects not only functionality, but also spiritual depth. Every location, every shape, held cultural and religious significance. With a capacity to house between 2,000 and 8,000 inhabitants, Ciudad Perdida is considered one of the largest urban centers in pre-Columbian Colombia, a testament to a society that not only knew how to build, but how to live harmoniously and sustainably within the heart of nature. Although Ciudad Perdida was once a thriving urban center, it was abandoned under mysterious circumstances. There are no traces of war, no signs of sudden destruction, and most notably, no written records left behind. The Tairona people did not use a writing system. They left no texts or inscriptions describing the city's history. What remains are sturdy stone structures, ceremonial beads, ritual pottery, and gold figurines, all silent, as if deliberately guarding their secrets. This abrupt disappearance continues to puzzle archaeologists and modern explorers alike. How could a civilization so advanced in both engineering and spirituality vanish without explanation? What drove them to leave this sacred place? Or was it all part of a plan that we simply cannot comprehend? The collapse of Ciudad Perdida remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in modern South American archaeology. Once a cultural and spiritual center of the Tairona people, the city was strategically located at high altitude with abundant fresh water, fertile land, and natural protection from the surrounding mountainous jungle. Yet this place, once likely home to thousands, was abandoned without any clear explanation. Numerous theories have been proposed, but none are truly convincing. Was Ciudad Perdida destroyed like many other indigenous civilizations, wiped out by the Spanish? Strangely, there are no signs of violence. No burned walls, no ruined fortifications, no mass graves. Could the Tairona have foreseen the threat and quietly evacuated before being discovered, a civilized retreat that left no trace? Another possibility is disease. During colonial times, illnesses like smallpox and measles devastated native populations that had no immunity. Perhaps Ciudad Perdida fell victim to a silent biological disaster before foreign invaders ever arrived, a quiet extinction that erased its people without a record? Or was it a natural disaster? The Sierra Nevada region is prone to landslides, floods, and earthquakes, but so far there is no archaeological evidence of any major catastrophe at the time of the city's abandonment. Finally, a deeper theory has been suggested by spiritual and cultural scholars. Ciudad Perdida did not collapse, it was intentionally relinquished. It may have been a ceremonial center meant only to exist for a specific period, and when its spiritual purpose was fulfilled, the people left in silence, guided by a cultural or religious cycle we no longer understand. This conscious withdrawal, not out of fear or defeat, opens the possibility that their departure was itself part of their worldview. All the theories seem plausible, yet none fully explain what happened. And it is that very void which makes Ciudad Perdida not just a ruin, but a living question in the heart of the jungle. A mystery not yet ready to be revealed. Adding to the enigma is the role of modern indigenous communities. To this day, the Kogi-Ahuaco Wiwa and other descendants of the Tairona return to Ciudad Perdida, known to them as Teyuna, for spiritual rituals. They insist it was never lost, only hidden. They see outsiders not as discoverers, but as intruders. To them, the city is still alive. Ciudad Perdida remained forgotten for centuries until 1972, when a group of treasure hunters accidentally discovered its ancient stone steps deep in the jungle while searching for gold. This discovery quickly triggered a wave of looting and illegal artifact trading, resulting in the loss of many valuable relics to private hands. Faced with the risk of this cultural heritage being destroyed, archaeologists stepped in to excavate and partially restore parts of the city's structure. However, intense opposition from local indigenous communities who regarded the site as sacred forced the Colombian government to change its approach. The city was eventually placed under strict protection with limited tourist access and a joint management system involving indigenous peoples in order to preserve both the spiritual essence and integrity of this legendary place. Why was a flourishing city in a rich, defensible region simply left behind? Why did the Tairona vanish while others endured? Was it nature disease, invasion, or a sacred plan beyond our comprehension? As you stand in Ciudad Perdida, surrounded by ancient terraces and mist, you don't find answers. You find echoes, whispers, a city that refuses to explain itself. And that's why it haunts us still. Because the greatest ruins are not those we understand. They are those that leave us wondering. And Ciudad Perdida, still wrapped in mystery, keeps whispering through the jungle. What do you think really happened to the Tairona people and Ciudad Perdida? Did they retreat as part of a sacred ritual? Or was there a disaster that was never recorded? Or perhaps we're simply not ready yet to fully understand what they left behind. Share your thoughts in the comments. Sometimes a fresh perspective might reveal a missing piece in a mystery thousands of years old. A forbidden city whispered through sandstorms and centuries. Buried somewhere beneath the blistering sands of the Sahara lies a secret so old, even the desert itself may have forgotten it. For centuries, travelers have spoken of a shimmering white city, Zerzura, a place where palm trees rise from nowhere, fountains gush in defiance of the sun, and white walls glisten like bone under a searing sky. Some called it a myth. Others vanished while searching for it. But Zerzura isn't just another lost city. Unlike Atlantis, it was never meant to be symbolic, it was said to be real. Guarded by black giants, hidden behind stone gates, marked by a golden key. Its legend didn't fade in libraries, it lived on, in desert songs, in Bedouin maps, etched into memory, and in the obsessions of men who risked their lives to find it. Now, a century later, with satellite scans and archaeological curiosity, renewed researchers are starting to believe that Zerzura may have truly existed, not as a fable, but as a once thriving oasis that the desert, with all its brutal patience, simply erased from sight. Could a city this wondrous truly vanish beneath the dunes? Or has it been waiting all along, silent, buried, and watching? The earliest mentions of Zerzura appear in Arabic texts such as the Kitab al-Kanuz, the Book of Treasures, where it's described as a city of white buildings, a golden key to enter, and a sleeping king surrounded by mysterious guardians. This fabled realm was said to be protected by black giants who would kill any intruder, and its gates remained hidden from the world unless the desert itself chose to reveal them. More than just a city, Zerzura was said to be a paradise in the most unlikely of places. A place where palm trees offered shade, crystal-clear water bubbled from underground springs, and fruits grew in defiance of the desert's tyranny. Even Bedouins who roamed the region for generations spoke of travelers who had vanished after claiming to seek it, or who returned, altered, mumbling about cities made of light and walls that shone in the sun. In the early 20th century, a phenomenon known as Zerzura fever began to haunt the minds of European explorers, especially those who believed that ancient legends might contain fragments of historical truth. Among them, none stood out more than Laszlo Almasi, the Hungarian adventurer who later inspired the main character in the famous novel and film The English Patient. Alongside Ralph Bagnold, a respected desert surveyor, Almasi led a series of daring expeditions deep into the Libyan desert, equipped with GPS maps, aerial reconnaissance cameras, and translated texts from ancient Arabic sources. What set them apart was that they weren't chasing desert mirages. They were following real clues, oral testimonies from local Bedouins, strange terrain patterns from aerial imagery, and traces of ancient life buried in the sand. In 1932, Almasi claimed to have discovered 3 valleys located within the Gilf Kebir Plateau, which matched ancient descriptions of Zerzura with remarkable precision. There, they uncovered fossilized plants, animal remains, and most notably prehistoric rock paintings in what is now known as the Cave of Swimmers. These findings suggested that the region was once humid and lush, completely at odds with the arid wasteland we see today. The question remains, did Zerzura once exist here, or was this merely a stepping stone on the path to uncovering a much greater truth still hidden beneath the sands? This is where the legend begins to shift from myth to plausible archaeology. While many ancient cities have been mythologized into oblivion, Zerzura's story persists because of a peculiar consistency in descriptions and because the Saharan sands are known to conceal entire ecological histories beneath their surface. Scientists and geologists now believe that parts of the Sahara Desert were once lush savannas and home to thriving ecosystems. Satellite imagery from NASA and ground surveys reveal fossilized riverbeds, buried lake basins, and ancient irrigation patterns across regions thought to be lifeless. These findings suggest that Zerzura could indeed have been a real oasis, part of an intricate network of prehistoric trade routes or settlements that were gradually covered by sandstorms, tectonic shifts, and climate changes. Particularly in the Gilf Kebir and Uwainat regions, strange rock formations and collapsed structures have been found, possibly remnants of old encampments, forgotten trails, or even stone foundations of ancient buildings. These features align eerily well with the geography described in Arabic sources: 3 valleys hidden between plateaus near difficult-to-navigate wadis. Moreover, the presence of underground aquifers in these regions supports the idea that a once flourishing oasis could now lie completely dormant or buried inaccessible without deep excavation or advanced LiDAR scanning. If Zazura was once a green gem in the desert, it likely suffered the same fate as other ancient sites like Ubar in Oman. Thought lost for centuries before its foundations were discovered via satellite. In this context, Zazura represents more than a ghost story. It stands as a symbol of how landscapes evolve, how human memory outlives visibility, and how entire civilizations can vanish not because of war or collapse, but because of nature's quiet reclamation. The image of giants guarding Zazura has long been a haunting symbol in ancient Arab legends. From the perspective of modern historians, this detail is often interpreted metaphorically. It may represent hostile tribes, massive natural stone pillars standing like sentinels, or simply the fear of the unknown in the minds of those who dared cross the desert. Regardless of the interpretation, this symbol has endured for centuries, from medieval Islamic texts to the journals of European explorers, and even into modern films and video games. Zazura has been romanticized as a desert Atlantis, a forbidden, beautiful realm that hides ancient knowledge and treasures humanity has yet to uncover. And it is this powerful mystique that has kept the legend alive through time. Not merely a geographic myth, but a mirror reflecting humanity's eternal fascination with what is lost, what remains unsolved, and the sacred beauty of things forgotten. Despite numerous expeditions, no definitive Zazura has ever been uncovered. Some argue it was a mythological projection, a mirage of hope in an environment that punished dreamers. Others insist it lies just beneath the surface, requiring only the right technology or the right eyes to be found. And therein lies Zazura's power. It may be less a place and more a concept, a reminder that history is never truly lost, only hidden, and that beneath every dune may lie a doorway to something long forgotten. With ongoing advancements in remote sensing, climate modeling, and archaeological scanning, it's entirely possible that what we call Zazura will someday be unearthed not as a city of gold, but as a window into Earth's lost ecosystems and the civilizations that once called them home. Would you step into the desert for a chance to find Zazura? Or is the true magic of this oasis that it still hasn't been found? What do you think, was Zazura real, or just a beautiful lie told by the wind and the dunes? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. The lost city that shouldn't exist, but might. For thousands of years, Dwarka was spoken of in whispers, a radiant city of gold and gemstones, ruled by a god, built by divine hands, and swallowed whole by the sea. It was a legend too spectacular to be true and too persistent to die. But then something happened. Off the western coast of India, deep beneath the turbulent waters of the Arabian Sea, sonar scans began revealing impossible shapes, symmetrical patterns, ancient foundations, the unmistakable fingerprint of civilization where there should have been none. What if the myth was never just a myth? What if Dwarka really existed? And what if its ruins are still out there, waiting to rewrite everything we know about the ancient world? In the epic Mahabharata, Dwarka is described as a divine city built by the god of construction, Vishwakarma, under Krishna's command. With palaces made of crystal and silver, adorned with emeralds and sapphire, the city was unlike any other known to man. It had wide boulevards, grand gates, public squares, lush gardens, and a complex port system, details far too intricate for a purely mythological tale. Krishna is said to have ruled Dwarka as a statesman and divine figure. The city became a symbol of prosperity, order, and spiritual greatness. Yet the legend ends in tragedy. After Krishna's departure from the mortal world, the city was swallowed by the sea, vanishing without a trace. For centuries, scholars and archaeologists regarded Dwarka as purely a mythological construct, a sacred city that existed only in epic tales and religious belief. However, a turning point came in 2001 when the National Institute of Ocean Technology (NIOT), in collaboration with the Marine Archaeology Centre of India, conducted a seabed survey in the Gulf of Khambat. What they discovered shocked the scientific community. At a depth of around 36 meters, they identified a vast network of man-made structures stretching over 9 kilometers. The shapes revealed by sonar scans were unmistakably artificial. They bore the clear outlines of foundations, boundary walls, and grid-like layouts characteristic of ancient urban planning. Some stone blocks were rectangular. Others were arranged in stepped patterns resembling temple platforms, indicating a deliberate and intelligent design rather than a random formation. These findings opened up the possibility that an ancient city, perhaps the legendary Dwarka, had indeed existed and was swallowed by the sea, shaking long-held beliefs about where mythology ends and history begins. Among the discoveries made beneath the Gulf of Khambat, what astonished archaeologists the most were the concrete, verifiable physical evidences uncovered at the site. They found stone anchors similar to those used in ancient ports, strongly suggesting that the area once functioned as a maritime trade hub. In addition, there were hand-carved stone blocks and foundations, along with pottery shards, beads, and crafted tools, all clear indicators of an advanced urban society. Most notably, fossilized human remains and wooden structural elements were recovered. When samples of the wood were analyzed through radiocarbon dating, the results were staggering: approximately 9,000 years old, dating back to around 7,000 BCE. This discovery significantly predates the established timeline of the Indus Valley Civilization and could even be contemporary with or earlier than the earliest known cities of Mesopotamia. Such findings raise a profound and unsettling question. Could India have once been home to one of the oldest urban centers in human history, now buried beneath the sea, its story lost before history ever had the chance to record it? Although the underwater archaeological findings in the Gulf of Khambat are undeniably impressive, scholars have yet to reach a consensus on whether this site truly represents the legendary city of Dwarka, ruled by Lord Krishna. Some scientists argue that the existing evidence, while intriguing, remains inconclusive. To date, no artifacts or inscriptions explicitly naming the site as Dwarka have been uncovered. This lack of direct proof fuels skepticism that the structures on the seabed might be natural geological formations or the remnants of an unrelated ancient settlement that happened to be submerged over time. However, the striking correlations between the archaeological data and ancient scriptures make it difficult to dismiss the Dwarka hypothesis outright. The geographic location of the submerged ruins off the coast of Gujarat almost exactly matches descriptions found in the Mahabharata. Moreover, those ancient texts clearly state that Krishna's city was swallowed by the sea, mirroring the current underwater condition of the structures. Additionally, the architectural patterns discovered beneath the sea bear strong similarities to those found in modern-day Dwarka on land. Notably, multiple independent dives and sonar surveys have confirmed consistent structural layouts at various seabed locations, strongly challenging the notion of a natural origin. Taken together, these factors form a web of coincidences that is difficult to ignore, prompting increasing scholarly interest in the theory that the ancient city of Dwarka may indeed lie buried beneath the waves. For many in India, the idea of a historical Dwarka is more than an academic pursuit. It is a cultural resurrection. If the underwater ruins are indeed the remnants of Krishna's city, it confirms deep-rooted oral traditions and epic stories as historical events. It validates the religious texts not just spiritually, but archaeologically. The modern town of Dwarka, located on the Saurashtra coast of Gujarat, is now a major pilgrimage site attracting thousands annually. Known as one of the Chardam Four sacred abodes, its link to the sunken city beneath the waves adds a powerful layer of mystique. Despite decades of exploration, many questions remain. Why did the city sink? Was it a tsunami rising sea levels or tectonic shifts? Was this a global pattern of coastal cities being submerged during the early Holocene epoch? Are there more ancient cities lying undiscovered off India's coasts? Marine archaeology is a difficult and expensive endeavor. The waters are murky currents, unpredictable, and sediment levels often high. But Dwarka has fueled unprecedented interest in underwater archaeology in South Asia and is slowly rewriting history with each expedition. Dwarka's discovery has sparked comparisons with other submerged legends, Atlantis in the West Yonaguni near Japan and Herakleion in Egypt. Together, they suggest a lost chapter in human history, where coastal civilizations once flourished before being drowned by cataclysm or climate change. Could the myth of Atlantis simply be another Dwarka in a different cultural lens? Could there have been a global network of advanced coastal cultures now resting beneath the waves? In the story of Dwarka, we find something rare, a convergence of myth, religion, science, and mystery. For the faithful, Dwarka is proof that the scriptures told the truth. For historians, it's a challenge to expand timelines. And for the curious mind, it is a doorway to exploring the untold past beneath the sea. Dwarka reminds us that history may not be confined to dusty ruins on dry land, but could also lie hidden beneath the waves, waiting for us to rediscover it. If the submerged ruins truly are the remnants of the legendary city of Dwarka, it wouldn't just reshape the history of India, it could rewrite the entire timeline of human civilization. But what do you think? Could this be evidence that ancient myths and epics conceal real truths lost to time? Or is it merely a coincidence? Nature mimicking the imagination of the ancients. Share your thoughts. Dwarka, a forgotten truth or an eternal legend? Imagine a city where every road leads to a grand temple of Poseidon, god of the sea and earthquakes, a place not only revered as a sacred spiritual center, but also served as the headquarters of a powerful alliance, the Achaean League. That city was Helike, a shining jewel of ancient Greece, holding both military might and religious prestige. Prosperous in trade, strategic in location, and majestic in culture, Helike minted coins engraved with the image of Poseidon riding a hippocampus, circulated from the Greek mainland to the shores of Asia Minor. From its towering temples to the waves crashing below its walls, this was once the living symbol of a civilization that bridged land and ocean. But in a cruel twist of fate, it was that very sea that swallowed it whole. In the winter of 373 BCE, Helike, one of the most powerful cities in the Achaean region, was struck by one of the most devastating natural disasters in ancient Greek history. A violent earthquake erupted unexpectedly at night, shattering the very foundations of the city. Almost immediately after, a massive tsunami, believed to be triggered by the quake, swept across the Helike plain, engulfing everything in its path: homes, temples, residents, even trees. No one had time to escape. In a single night, the entire city was submerged beneath seawater and buried under thick layers of mud. Ancient accounts describe how, by the next morning, only the tips of temple columns were visible above the surface, silent witnesses to a civilization erased without warning. Helike vanished, not only in physical form, but also faded from memory, a deep rupture between past glory and utter oblivion. The sudden and total disappearance of Helike not only horrified those who lived at the time, but also became a subject recorded in many ancient texts. Historians such as Diodorus Siculus Strabo and Pausanias documented the story of a once prosperous city that was swallowed by the sea in a single night. Based on these descriptions, many modern scholars believe that Plato, while crafting the legend of Atlantis, may have drawn direct inspiration from the Helike disaster. Like Atlantis, Helike was a wealthy, powerful cultural center with its own religious identity ultimately destroyed by the fury of nature. But what makes Helike remarkable is that it is not just a myth, it is a real event supported by geological and archaeological evidence. It demonstrates that what seem like fantastical legends may in fact be rooted in the memories of real catastrophes passed down and mythologized through generations. Among all the strange elements surrounding Helike, perhaps the fact that it remained lost for over 2,000 years is what astonishes posterity the most. Despite being mentioned frequently in ancient sources from epics and geographical texts to travelers' accounts, Helike had completely vanished from the real-world map. For centuries, scholars believed the city had sunk entirely to the bottom of the Gulf of Corinth after the devastating earthquake and tsunami of 373 BCE. They imagined Helike as a sort of Greek Atlantis, forever buried beneath the sea and unreachable through traditional archaeological methods. Throughout the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, Helike became a symbol of a forgotten civilization. Geographers, explorers, and even treasure hunters searched for its location based on ancient descriptions, but all failed. What makes this even more intriguing is that many of the old accounts were highly specific eyewitnesses claimed that for years after the disaster, sailors could still see the temple columns protruding from the sea, and some even reported fish swimming between the ruins. But over time, mud silt and geological shifts gradually concealed every trace. It was as if nature had not only erased Helike physically, but also scrubbed it from collective memory. This prolonged disappearance is what gave rise to the legend of Helike, not simply because the city sank, but because it vanished so stubbornly and inexplicably for more than 2 millennia. The fact that Helike couldn't be found, even with clear historical evidence, turned it into an obsession for archaeologists. Many began to believe that if Helike had truly existed, then other so-called legendary cities might also have roots in historical reality, not just myth. This vanishing act also reveals a sobering truth. Nature can effortlessly devour an entire civilization, then bury it so thoroughly that humanity can no longer distinguish legend from fact. Helike came to symbolize a unique kind of ghost city, one that was real, once inhabited, with a documented past, but utterly unreachable and invisible. It serves as a cautionary reminder that science doesn't always conquer time, and some historical questions may take many generations to fully answer. For more than 2 millennia, Helike existed only in ancient texts and the imaginations of scholars. But in the 1990s, a major turning point arrived when archaeologist Dora Katsonopoulou and geologist Stephen Sota proposed a bold hypothesis. Helike had not sunk to the bottom of the sea as widely believed, but had instead been buried beneath thick layers of silt near the coast, just a few kilometers from the current shoreline. Using geological data and models of deltaic transformation, after seismic events they began excavations near the village of Rizomailos. Then came the breakthrough. In 2001, they uncovered layers of ancient building foundations, pottery shards, coins bearing the image of Poseidon, and stone-paved roads, all perfectly matching the era when Helike had thrived. Far from lying at the bottom of the sea, Helike had been resting just beneath the sediment, carefully concealed by nature itself, like a forgotten gem. This discovery was not only a major archaeological achievement, but also powerful proof that ancient legends can be rooted in real events, waiting only for the right patience and a shift in perspective to be uncovered. The discovery of Helike not only helped reconstruct a forgotten chapter of ancient Greek history, but also delivered a profound lesson for the modern world. It shows that many seemingly irrational legends may actually originate from real disasters passed down through collective memory and gradually shrouded in myth over time. Helike stands as vivid proof of the deep connection between geology and history, a city erased by nature, then buried by time. In an age of increasing climate change and seismic risk, the story of Helike reminds us that no civilization is immune to the forces of nature. Helike is not just a lost city, it is a testament to the endurance of human curiosity and intellect. From being buried for 2,000 years to finally being unearthed and decoded, Helike's story teaches us that history may slumber, but it always awaits those with the patience and passion to awaken it. What do you think about the fact that a once mighty city like Helike could completely vanish for over 2,000 years, even though the ancients left behind so many written accounts of it? How many other civilizations might still be buried beneath the earth, waiting to be discovered? If you could choose one legend to uncover the truth behind which lost city would you explore? Share your thoughts in the comments. Who knows, we might just be peering into a doorway to forgotten history. Deep in the heart of the Amazon, beyond the reach of satellites, maps, and modern memory, there's a story whispered only in myth. A city carved in stone, buried beneath vines, and guarded by centuries of silence, Akakor. But this is no ordinary lost city. According to those few who dare speak its name, Akakor was built not by the hands of ancient humans, but by beings who came from the stars. Visitors who arrived long before recorded history, bearing knowledge, power, and prophecy. Their legacy, a sacred city, with underground halls, unearthly technology, and a promise to return. Dismissed by many, sought by few, and known by even fewer, Akakor remains one of the greatest unsolved riddles of our time, where legend, deception, and forbidden truths collide in the depths of the jungle. The legend of Akakor burst into public awareness in 1972 when German journalist Karl Brugger published a book titled The Chronicle of Akakor. This book was based on a series of interviews with a man named Tatunka Nara, who claimed to be the prince and spiritual leader of the Uga Mongolala, an unknown tribe said to live in complete secrecy somewhere in the Amazon rainforest. According to Tatunka, the history of his people stretched back over 15,000 years, and their origins were intertwined with celestial visitors who arrived from beyond the stars. At the heart of this narrative stood Akakor, not just a city, but a holy sanctuary, the jewel of a forgotten civilization and the ultimate link between ancient humanity and extraterrestrial intelligence. It was described as being constructed by gods from the sky, using techniques and tools far beyond anything known to humankind. Gigantic stone structures, tunnel systems stretching for hundreds of kilometers, and knowledge of astronomy, medicine, and energy all were said to have been gifts bestowed upon the ancestors of Tatunka's people by these otherworldly beings. According to the Chronicle, these gods came from a star system known to the Uga Mongolala as Aldebaran, a real star visible from Earth, and often associated with mysticism and ancient alien theories. These celestial beings descended in flaming chariots, taught the local inhabitants the arts of civilization, and laid the foundation for Akakor and its sister cities, Akanis and Akahim. Their reign lasted for thousands of years, and their legacy was encoded in oral traditions passed from generation to generation. According to Tatunka Nara, the city of Akakor was unlike any structure known to modern humanity. It wasn't built on the surface, but was carved directly into the cliffs and mountainsides deep within the Amazon rainforest, forming an enormous underground architectural system. Temples, palaces, corridors, and living quarters were all located far beneath the earth, connected to one another like a stone labyrinth stretching hundreds of kilometers. Remarkably, these constructions were said to be earthquake-resistant, built with such precision that no modern tool could replicate them. Inside the chambers were ancient libraries containing forgotten knowledge, undeciphered texts, strange devices, and even objects emitting unknown forms of energy. The entire city appeared to be a concealed underground civilization complex, completely hidden from the outside world, suggesting that it was not merely a place to live, but rather a sacred sanctuary of technology and wisdom from an era we still do not fully understand. But what truly sets Akakor apart from other lost cities is its divine narrative. Unlike El Dorado, which is often portrayed as a city of gold, or Atlantis, a cautionary tale of hubris, Akakor is framed as a sanctuary of wisdom preserved by the guidance of alien intelligences. The inhabitants of the city were believed to be chosen, protected, and occasionally visited by their celestial creators. In some accounts, these beings left Earth but promised to return when the world was in chaos to reawaken ancient knowledge and guide humanity once more. The theological and cosmic implications of Akakor are profound. It challenges the idea of linear human progress and proposes a model of cyclical interaction between Earth and non-human civilizations. It implies that human civilization may have been jump-started by outside forces, and that knowledge once thought to be divine or mythical could have had tangible physical origins rooted in advanced technology. Yet for all its wonder, Akakor remains elusive. Numerous expeditions have tried to locate the city or remnants of the Uga Mongulala tribe, but none have returned with concrete archaeological evidence. Even Tatuncha Nara himself became a figure of controversy. Investigations into his background revealed suspicious inconsistencies. Some claimed he was actually a German man named Günther Hauck, who had reinvented himself as a jungle prophet. Despite the mystery surrounding his identity, the core of his story about Akakor and its divine origins continues to captivate. Critics argue that the entire Akakor legend is a hoax, a well-constructed blend of science fiction, ancient myths, and Amazonian folklore. They point to the lack of verifiable evidence, the fantastical timelines, and the implausibility of the technological claims. Others counter that the Amazon is vast and largely unexplored, with thick canopies, hiding ruins, geoglyphs, and entire settlements that satellites cannot detect. Indeed, in recent years, LIDAR technology has uncovered dozens of hidden cities and massive geometrical earthworks under the rainforest floor, some of which align eerily well with Tatunka's descriptions. Moreover, the idea of gods descending from the sky is not unique to Akakor. Similar myths appear in Sumerian texts, Hopi legends, the Dogon of Mali, and even Mesoamerican deities like Quetzalcoatl. These recurring motifs have led many to believe that either a common ancient experience is being referenced or that humanity's ancient past is far stranger than we are prepared to accept. Today, Akakor lives on as a symbol of forbidden history. It represents a world where boundaries between myth and fact blur, where ancient humans may have once walked alongside cosmic teachers, and where the answers to who we are might still be buried beneath the vines of the Amazon. Whether Akakor is real or a brilliant fabrication, its story reminds us that the Earth still holds secrets too deep, too vast, and too sacred to be easily dismissed. Could the jungles of Brazil still conceal the ruins of a lost city built by beings from the stars? Until the forest gives up its secrets, or until the gods return, we may never truly know. But one thing is certain: Akakor has etched itself into the imagination of a generation as a riddle wrapped in legend, shielded by the jungle and guided by the stars. So, if what Tatuncha Nara said is true, could Akakor be evidence that humanity once had contact with an extraterrestrial civilization? Or is it merely a cleverly woven legend, blending fact with imagination? What do you think about the possibility of a buried city hiding knowledge far beyond its time deep within the Amazon rainforest? Share your thoughts. Is Akakor a myth, a lie, or the first clue to a hidden history?